Yeah, Dash Radio.
Yeah.
Free game show. Ocho in the building.
Hey.
The wonderful Fat Tony in the building.
Yeah. I'm back, baby. The bitch is back.
Ezra's here. Kyle's running around somewhere. What's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
Hey,
how y'all
doing good, man. It's a lovely day in Los Angeles, you know?
It is. You just got back?
I just got back from New York a little bit ago. I was out there. I was here, but I was back and forth. I was there during the week.
Flex.
Shooting the
subtle flex.
Shooting the recently canceled Viceland show, Vice Live. And now I'm back here in LA for a little bit, and then me and my girl are moving to New York in a few weeks.
Damn, congrats.
Nice.
That's the same girl?
Yeah.
That was like 4 years ago.
Not more like 2 years ago. But
2 years ago? Oh, damn. My timeline's all messed up.
Hey, man, it feels like a lifetime though, man. It feels good.
Congrats. That's tight.
Hell
You
yeah.
guys live together right now or no?
Yeah.
Damn. How is that? We were
Love it.
literally last week we were all talking about like moving in with your girl.
I like it. I prefer it. First of all, I hate having roommates. I would rather live with my partner.
That's
Having
facts.
roommates just isn't for me. I like having a home that's all my own. I can do whatever the fuck I want. If I want to walk butt ass naked and do the dishes, and I can do it. And I love it. I love living with her. Our like lifestyles are very compatible. Like we started living together because I would come over to her place so much before we lived together. It was like, let's just get our own spot.
She's like, all right, bro, you gotta start paying rent.
You know what I mean? Gladly, and I wanted us to get a fucking nicer place. Like, let's put our money together and get a nicer
somewhere
place
dope.
than where we both live right now.
Goals fire.
Goals.
Has she lived in New York before or no?
No, she hasn't. This is her first time.
So she's excited, huh?
Hell yeah. We've been wanting to live there since we met. Like, I remember when one of our first times kicking it, I was at Cha-Cha Lounge and I got tipsy and I was like, yo, I was just like this, head bobbling and everything. Like, yo, let's put my money together and your money together and let's move to New York and let's do it. And she was like, okay.
I was there that time, right, Tony?
Well, yes. Well, yeah. That's
That
what I was
was the
whispering
night.
to her.
Oh,
that's
that
what I
was the
saying.
night.
I was like, let's move to New York.
Tony just disappeared on me and let me get way too lit. Now Tony's homegirl don't fuck with me no more.
Oh, she was there too. Oh yeah, the homie was there too.
Past life. Different times.
Life funny.
Oh shit.
But yeah, man.
Well, yeah, man. I mean, we were getting into it off air. That's what always happens. We end up having like the dopest podcast off of air. But like I said, like this is not an interview. You know, we love you, but we don't give a fuck about you here. You know, I'm not trying to hear like what records you were digging in and how you first started rapping. We don't care. You know, go tell
Wikipedia.
Cruise Show that or something. You know, that's not what we on over here. But yeah, it's free game. You know, the hope is first we just love like just chopping it up with the homies. You know, like we always want this show to feel like the conversations you have in your living room with your homies. You know, where you guys feel like you figured out the answers to life. You know, that's really what we want this show to be like. You're an independent artist, still independent, right?
Always been independent.
Okay, yeah. It's gonna be awkward when one of these days I'm like independent and they're like, oh, I just signed.
I don't know. Independent artist is kind of a funny title because I think in the life of an entertainer, you work with so many different companies, big and small, but you're still the one that's behind your whole operation. So even if you sign to Warner for like a few years and sign to Interscope for a few years, at the end of the day, those are your moves that you made independently using your own mind and your own team.
Interesting.
So I think even when you are aligned with a corporation or a small company, you should still view yourself as an independent artist or a businessman or whatever you want to call it.
Interesting. Yeah, no. I see where you're getting at with that. I like that. Do you think you haven't aligned yourself with a major record label?
No, I've never.
You never have. Do you think that whole spiel, do you think you could partner with a major label and still be Fat Tony and still move the way you move, still be controlling in your creative process? You know what I mean?
I think yes, for me personally, because I think what makes the Fat Tony shit great is when I am doing my own thing and me making my own moves and the people that I want to bring in. Like my own taste is what makes it special. I don't think I've ever been the kind of artist that like followed a trend or was really like trying to go with the guidelines. Like I was always trying to go against the mold, go against the grain, be like a trend dodging artist. So any company that's wise that wants to work with me is going to work with me for that quality and want to enhance that quality.
And just let you
that's the way we're going to
just let
do
you
the best business together.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it's facts. It's facts. And so on that tip, I like how you stated that, you know, you got to be independent if you work wherever you work. With that though, because when I say independent, I'm really talking about ownership, right?
Yeah.
That's my big thing. Is like owning what you produce, even just a piece of it or a part of it, you know, and owning yourself, right? Because you could get signed where they own like your likeness or whatever. You can't, your mom can't put you on a t-shirt, you know, because they own that, you know. Do you think, what's your stance on that, I guess? Is that important to you?
So I just did that TV show, and during the contract, it had terms like that. Now, terms like that are kind of standard, and they're for the protection of the company's investment, and I totally get it. But me and my lawyer went in there to find a compromise, to be like, hey, you can own this likeness or this name or whatever for X amount of time. You know what I mean? Like it can't be in perpetuity. I think that's just that's unfair.
Yeah, completely.
You know? So I think that it really depends on like the business. And I hate to bring it up because, you know, it's like kind of evil, but money really determines how much that company is going to get out of me. Like if you give me X amount up front, I'm more willing to offer up some ownership to you for a longer amount of time. But if you're giving me practically peanuts up front, then let's just go into this shit 50-50 and like I don't owe you nothing, you don't owe me nothing. We're just trying to throw a gamble in, you know?
And don't get it twisted. It's free game, but like we here to sell out. That's what the second that Nike wants me, I'm gonna be head to toe in Nike. You know what I mean? So don't even get it twisted.
I am here to work. You know what I mean? Like I've worked with big corporations like Vice. They're fucking big as fuck.
Yeah.
Volcom, they're big as fuck. You know what I mean? In my experiences so far, at this point in the 31 years of my life, I haven't had a deal with a corporation or a company really turn me sour. Even when it didn't pan out the way I wanted to, it hasn't turned me off from working with similar companies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as far as selling out goes, like, I never viewed it as selling out for me because I just can't be tame like that. Like, there's no way. There's no way somebody's going to bring me in as an artist and tell me what to do and expect it to work. Like that's just not me. It just doesn't fucking work.
No,
it don't work in my normal life. You know what I mean? Like
your girl's like, trust me, I've tried. That shit don't work.
Ask her. No, a nigga untamed.
That's fine. Yo, I'm not gonna lie. Tell me about the Volcom shit, because before the show, I was like scrolling through your Instagram, you know, just seeing what was up with you. And I swear to God, I saw this picture of you wearing a Volcom shirt. And my first thought was like,
yeah.
Okay, Volcom's back, I guess. Like Tony's always a little ahead of the trend, so shit. I guess I gotta go dig out my junior high Volcom pen, practice my fucking Volcom logo. Remember when that was a shit? Drawing that shit. Yeah.
Pull up the
but dead ass, I was like,
Topic, Journeys, blow the bag.
I literally was like, yo, I guess Zoomies is back on and popping, you know? And then I like scrolled a little further down and it was like, proud to present to you the newest Volcom partner, Fat Tony. But I'm like, I see what's going on. I see what's going on.
Bag.
You can't fool me, Tony.
Volcom's cool,
you can't fool.
You know, Volcom's one of those brands that for me to work with them, it's kind of like a bit of nostalgia because I grew up being into skateboarding.
Yeah, right.
And much like y'all, I was drawing the Volcom logo.
Yeah.
I had Volcom stickers in my fucking bedroom and shit. I had a Volcom web belt, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And man, it's kind of funny how I started working with them. First of all, I think it's dope that we can just talk about the industry on this because it's fun and it's our real lives.
Yeah, it's real lives.
Years ago, I had a booking agent who introduced me to this guy, Kurt. Kurt's band, Black Bananas, was also represented by the same agent. And he was like, yo, Volcom does this 7-inch vinyl club. Would you be down to do one? So I did a song for it. I did one with my boy Ill Faded, and I did another one with this producer, Shy Guy, and I featured Maxo Cream on it. And it just turned out dope. And just from like there, Volcom came back and they booked me for like shows. They booked me to DJ. They like sent me gear. They brought me to Hawaii to DJ. And then now it's come to a point where like I'm a brand ambassador and we have a closer relationship where I do photos for their content and I've done voiceover work for their content. They put me in like commercials and shit. They're dope. You know,
you're like, send me all the cargo pants. I'll like, wear whatever.
They're like one of those companies where they're super corporate, but everybody working there is down to earth. And it's like, yo, I know I work for this corporation and it's mad money and all this red tape, but in my heart, I'm an artist or I'm a skater or I'm a surfer and this is my fucking passion. And it's fun for me to give an underground artist like you, Fat Tony, a fucking check from my job.
That's fire. And I'm sure that's like an appeal of you to them, right? Is that you are like independent. Totally. You are doing your own thing. You haven't compromised, you know? Whereas like do you think those opportunities would exist? Say you had a deal with Warner.
I don't think so. Because I think a lot of people that I met there started out the way I started out. Like Volcom was like a DIY thing that they just did out of their passion that through their hard work has become this huge thing from like them getting interest from other people to invest in them and shit. You know what I mean? These are folks that like saw me with like the same booking agent like they had, you know, playing the same kind of venues, like doing the same hustle, coming from the same backgrounds of being into rap and into punk and into skateboarding. It's like, bro, you one of us. Come and join the family and let's get this money and like show people out there that you can turn your passion into something if you really focus on it.
That's fire. No, and it's interesting you said like how the deeper you got into these giant corporations, you started seeing that they were just normal dope people like you and me, you know? And we were talking off air. It's like, for me, I've always had and I don't know if you carried this, but I always had a very hard kind of aversion to major labels.
Totally.
You know, like my whole life growing up in punk is all about fuck the man. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like even before I
they ain't like us.
Before I ever went into a major label, I already had this idea of like, nah, I'm not with it. I'm not fucking with them. I'm not gonna do that. Whoop-de-whoop. And the past couple years, we were talking off air, being in the major label system, working with artists in it, like I fuck with all the people, most of the people, let's say most. I fuck with most of the people that I'm in contact with. We were out the other day, and we like bumped into someone. I'm not gonna air them out too crazy, but like we bumped into someone and they were wilding out of pocket. And I'm like, you're like a respectable professional. You work at, you know what I mean? And they were out of control, and it was like, oh, it's lit. Like they just normalize people like us too, you know? It has been interesting though, because like I said, being in the system, I have no animosity towards the people. I actually really like all the people we work with. But to me, it's just so clear. And I guess clothing and music's a little different, but the system is broken. Totally. You know? And so then it's like finding my own personal level of comfort with like how do I justify being a part of a system that I feel is broken, that a system that I feel is predatory, system I feel is racist, is whatever, you know, is exploitative, you know, and finding this balance, like how do I partnership and still make my money and be independent, but know that I'm fueling this age-old.
Feel like in a lot of these companies though, for as many cool people and as many talented people as there are people that get in their way. Like there were times at my TV show where like I had a certain producer who I really liked. So I was like, yo, this person's ideas are dope. And they came to me after the show ended and was like, man, I pitched all this shit for you. I pitched this idea and like this idea. And then I heard him and I was like, damn, that sounds tight. Why didn't we do it? He was like, oh, because this other person said that you wouldn't like it. And then somebody agreed with them and it just got outvoted. And it's just like, damn, like, it's like too many people not getting checked for their sloppy work and their bad ideas, and there's too many people getting checked and not letting their good ideas come out. Like earlier you were talking about one of your label mates were trying to put out an album and then the label pushed it back, but the date that the artist wanted was for a reason. It lined
all made
up
sense
with
the
whole
rollout
intent of the album. Pushing it back totally strips it of what the album's about.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah. And it was crazy because we were talking off air. That was like that. I could chalk it up to nothing more than the system, right? Like all the people at the label are like, don't drop Q4, no dropping Q4. And then like you ask them why, and no, everyone has the same stock answer. Oh, Q4 is a bad quarter to drop, you know. People only want to listen to Christmas music.
But like those that don't know, what is Q4 and why is it a big deal?
Winter. So it's like the year is broken. That's a good. This is why you good at this, Tony. So it's like the year is broken down into, like, it's in seasons. It's also in quarters. So January through March or whatever is Q1. April, whatever, Q2. So Q4 is the winter. Whatever, October, November, December. It's historically not a good time to drop music because, one, back in the day when the music was reliant on the industry shuts down all of December, right? These people don't take vacations. They work around the clock. That's another thing. These people do work hard.
Yeah.
The ones who work hard. I think I had in my mind that all these people were just like punching a clock, didn't give a fuck. There is some of that, but there are some people who bust their ass, you know, who don't take sick leave, who don't whatever, you know. So these people, that's their only time they get to take breaks. A lot of them dip out like the whole month, you know, like December 4th through the end of the year, they're gone. So it's like when you were reliant on the industry to push your record, to move it, to promote it, that shit was a wrap. Yeah. It was closed down, you know. Historically, people, if they're listening to the radio or whatever, we're getting spoon-fed things, right? We don't really choose what we listen to. So it's all Christmas music. Everyone's just running Christmas music. People are dropping Christmas albums. And then there's a few big dogs who drop in that time, and that kind of eats up all the listeners. We have more music listeners than ever. You know what I mean? And with Spotify, with whatever, I could choose what I want to listen to at any point in time. I could listen to Christmas music in June. You know, it doesn't matter. So to me, the idea that no one's listening to new music in Q4 is a farce. You know what I mean? That's not real to me. Maybe there is a little bit less. There's still a shit ton of people who are looking for new music, listening to new music in Q4, and nobody's dropping.
Yeah.
Right. Nobody's dropping because the labels say, oh, Q4 is a bad time to drop. You know what I mean?
It's so interesting because to me, in my like listener brain, I'm like, yo, well, that's when I'm working less in my job, or I'm or my school semester's done. I have all this free time. Like, what can I get into?
Exactly. And I remember when I was living in Berkeley, every single year around whatever, end of November, early December, some viral record would crack off because it was finals week. Everyone's just in the library all the time. People are kind of done, chill with school, you know? And that was when the internet goes crazy because it's like, what do kids who are procrastinating from studying do? Chill on the internet. You know what I mean? So there are certain things, and that Q4 is not even a conversation you could have inside the label, right? Because it's just like, no, we don't drop things on Q4. People aren't listening, period. You know? So, and I was on some like, yo, let's try it. The worst thing that happens is nobody listens. Yeah. And who cares?
And
you know?
Honestly, you can drop an album at any point in the year and it fucking brick. So let's just try it out.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, okay, cool. If it doesn't work out, people have such short attention spans. We'll just drop another single the week after. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, it's crazy. But it just wasn't even a conversation people were gonna hear because of this system, this like tradition, these rules, you know. And it's super interesting. And it's good people caught in a bad system, you know?
Man, I challenge people to go against the grain with their business too. Like you were saying how that's kind of part of the old guard, and how now with like shit like, let's say SoundCloud, we can put out shit whenever we want. Or on TikTok, we can drop a new song whenever we want. Do you think that enough artists have the power to ignore the labels and ignore the industry and drop something and have it be as big of a success as if you had all the PR and all the backing in the world?
I think so. Even, I don't know if you listen to Joe Budden podcast, but shout out Joe Budden podcast. They keep talking about what would a music strike look like. Like how many artists would it take to say we're not dropping any new music for the labels to then renegotiate the standard deal, because the standard deal, outside of just creative control, everything, the standard deal is awful, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure you know that you done your homework on this shit. You know, standard deal, we've talked about it a lot. It's not in favor of the artist. You know, it's one of the worst loans you could get on the face of the earth.
Yeah.
You know, you're better off taking out a small business loan. So with the NBA, whatever, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, we saw they had the lockout. All the players said, nah, the owners, the teams are making so much more money than the players. There's a disproportion of wealth. So we're not playing until you guys fix that shit. You know, they had a lockout, salary caps got raised, you know, they started playing again. How many big artists would it take for everyone to say, you know what, we're not dropping any new music until all these labels renegotiate the deal and create a more fair deal for everyone, you know? And I would like to think that, you know, it would work. I think it would work if we did it. Yeah. I don't know if we'll ever get artists working together like that.
I don't know if enough people in the music business have the collective focus to organize and do a strike against anything.
Right.
Because I feel like, much like we were speaking about people that work at these companies who are worried about losing their job, I think that there are so many artists out there worried about losing their chance at fame or at money or like whatever, that to get everybody or even a large number of people to strike, it's going to take something really major to happen, like a major tragedy or like a major disruption. I just think it's too difficult to get people to focus like that, especially in this day and age when like everything is like about the self, is about your like own brand and your own lane and all this shit. Like, people, soon as somebody says strike, the next guy is gonna be like, yo, fuck that, because I'm on my own shit. And I'm about my own money. And you know, I don't know. I find it harder and harder to get people to come together to do anything.
Yeah, and it's definitely 2019, right? And it's not like we're at a shortage of new aspiring artists who don't have shit, who are trying to get on. And I think that's like the hard part, right? Is every artist in the world could stop, and there's a million more ready to take their place. Like
that Barnum Bailey fool said, it's like a sucker born every day.
Yeah, it's facts. It's facts. And it's crazy, right? Because that to me shows how exploitative the music industry is, right? It's like if every artist said, nah, we not rocking with this, rather than, okay, well, let's listen. What are the issues? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, bro, you are replaceable.
Yeah.
You know, like, we look at you as a commodity. We could replace you if you're not gonna dance for us later. You know what I mean? And that's where it's like, how could we not call this industry exploitative?
Yeah.
You know? So
I mean, I think it should, in the best case, I think it works both ways. You as the artist and your team versus the label and the company, y'all are using each other. Y'all are holding each other into agreements where like the loss and gain is as fair as it can be, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think it just takes like, first of all, it takes a lot of balls for like people to want to get an agreement as fair to them, because the average person gets their first crack at something and they're just yes.
Of course.
You know, I was fucked on my first deal with a distributor. You know what I mean? The first time somebody ever stepped to me, this guy from fucking Chicago, he was like, yo, I like see you burning CDs, putting out tapes. I could get your music on iTunes. And that was a big deal to me. And he gave me a contract, and I didn't have a manager, a lawyer, or anything. I was like 18, 19, signed off on it. And then he was like paying me steady. And then after a while, he stopped paying me and stopped responding to my emails. And then I was like, all right, well, let me check the paperwork. Then I got a lawyer to look at the paperwork, and the paperwork was fucked up.
Damn.
Like I had nothing to do to fix it. Damn. And I just took it as like, damn, I guess that was my first experience. Business, you know?
And it's crazy that every single artist has an experience like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Every artist, and again, that to me, like, how could we not say that something needs to get changed? You know, if every single artist is like, oh yeah, like I remember the first time I got fucked, you know, like it is what it is, you know, like keep it pushing. And that's the mindset we hold, right? Is like, oh, that's like we're just earning our stripes. You know what I mean?
But it shouldn't be like that. It absolutely should not be like that.
Exactly. And yeah, man, I think,
I want artists, and I know that it's hard, especially when you like first get into it. And I know I'm somebody that does my art for like a living and like whatever. But you can't be so desperate, man. Like even when like you don't know better, you can't be desperate. Like if you really believe in yourself, and you've heard these stories before, these like same horror stories, you need to have the wherewithal and have the courage to like stop and be like, yo, this ain't gonna be my only chance. Let me investigate this to the fullest extent. Let me get a good lawyer to look at this. Like let me have all my ducks in order. So if I do get fucked, it's totally on my fault. And I can say that I at least tried.
Yeah, no, exactly. But again, it's hard for me to like, look at the artists when it's like I know most of the artists they're signing have no resources, have no knowledge, have no experience, and are just desperate. They're desperate in life. You know what I mean? Like, so it's, and again, that's where it's like, bro, this is predatory. You know what I mean? This is predatory. You are a grown ass man going and preying on like young girls who don't even know themselves, don't know the world, and just need some sort of attention, you know, and you've found what market you can capitalize on. Like that's fucked up. You know what I mean? That's so fucked up. I don't know.
Have you seen this happen? Like since you've been working with artists who are signed to major labels, have you seen these labels that you've worked with do this to young artists?
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, all the people I've worked with directly have always seemed like people who actually care. You know, I think because I'm pretty vocal. I've been pretty vocal from the jump that the ones who don't fuck with me. You know, I think a lot of people in the industry probably don't fuck with me and they're like, that fool's angry. You know, that fool's always yelling about something. Like he's just an angry ass old man, you know? So most of the people I work with, they get it, you know, and they'll tell me like, yo, this shit is fucked up. We know, but like it is what it is, you know?
I mean, they like think that you're angry. Why? Because you argue or what? Like what? Show me a kind of scenario where a label person would leave being like, oh man, this guy Ben, he's like difficult.
Yeah. So for instance, we had a meeting one time where we were talking about like the rollout plan for a single for our artist we were working with, and they all really wanted to pick the most middle of the road vanilla pop single, right? And just overall, they wanted to market this artist as a pop artist. Yeah. You know, where I was very much like, we've talked about it here a lot, so we don't even need to get into it, but I don't think pop is a sound or pop is a genre, right? I think pop is the spotlight and it's always moving. And so you have to come from something real. You have to be connected to something real, to a culture, an ecosystem, a sound, a history. And if the light passes on you, dope. You know what I mean? And make the most of that opportunity. But if you're just chasing that spotlight, you're lost, you know, and you're cultureless and you're just floating, you know? So the fact that they wanted to market this artist who comes from rap, is a diehard rap fan, raps his ass off, does you know, they want to market him as a pop star. I'm already like, okay, what's going on here? You know, like this artist is telling you he's a rapper. His music sounds like rap. He's always rapped, and everyone's like, you're a pop star. What
was the artist's fan base like? Was the fan base looking at him?
It's ground zero. You know, we're starting at ground zero. So it's, you know, in my mind, and again, I could get ahead of myself a lot of the times, but it's like, okay, these are people who see the potential of it exploiting this kid, of saying, oh, you're a rapper, but if we make you Nick Jonas, you'll be like the swaggy, spicy, exotic Nick Jonas,
edgy pop guy,
you know. And then I'm like, all right, so this is all the way
now.
This is all the way fucked up from my perspective, you know. So it's like, whoa, what's going on? But I remember being in a meeting, they were talking about wanting to pick the real like vanilla single that'll go at radio and like market it, and not start from the roots and build into pop, but just start out the gate as pop center as it goes, you know? And so I just raised my hand, and I'm the least qualified person in this room.
Yeah.
You know, I have the least amount of experience.
But you have taste.
But I've kept my mouth shut off the strength of like, yo, these people must know something I don't. You know what I mean? And so I raised my hand and was like, I hear what everyone's saying. You know, you guys all know way more than me, but how do we avoid being B.O.B.? You know? And the room's response was crazy. One dude was super mad, was like, what do you mean?
No shit.
But yeah, he's like, what do you mean? How do we avoid being
That nigga
B.O.B.?
probably a flat earther too.
But he was like, and again, I can't even knock them because they're coming from a completely different standpoint. That guy was like, he's like, B.O.B. had one of the biggest hit songs of this decade. Okay. You would be lucky to have that, which is facts, but that's facts, you know, like B.O.B. did have like one of the biggest. Airplanes is a worldwide smash. Like, so I get what he's saying, but it's like, okay, we're looking at the same coin from two different sides. Yeah. Because I'm not even for 1 second concerned with a hit, right? I want to like build a long career.
You're talking about the rollout.
Yeah, I want to build a long career for an artist. I'm not concerned about the single hitting or not right now. You know, we're trying to build, set up. Like, so I get what you're looking at. You view B.O.B. as a success because he came in, had some hits, made a bunch of money. No one gives a fuck about him now, but you don't care because there's a million different artists that you can now bring on to write a hit, you know? And it's crazy because the one person in the room who I feel like actually understood what I was saying was the fool who A&R'd B.O.B.'s first album. And I didn't know, bro.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know. And he goes, yeah, so, well, actually, it's funny you say that because I A&R'd the first album. I was like, God damn it. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. I'm blackballed. I'm blackballed. You know, it's over for me. And he was like, yo, I hear what you're saying. He's like, the thing with B.O.B. is we did like walk this line between pop and rap, you know? And B.O.B. is someone who could produce, who could write, who could sing, who could play guitar, who could do all these dope things. We walked this really interesting line, and I actually got fired from, this is the guy saying, he's like, I got fired from his second album because I sat him down and I said, yo, you make better music than you're making right now. You've gotten addicted to the pop side of things, to the limelight, and that's why you want to go get Taylor Swift on this single. You make better music than this, and you need to make better music than this, or you're going to be here and gone. Yeah. And B.O.B. ended up firing him from the album, and B.O.B. is obviously where he is now, you know? Yeah. And so that was actually dope because it was like, okay, this person actually understands and gets it and realizes that while he is trying to have hits, he is trying to like make this for the masses. There is this line to walk, you know? But it was crazy that the majority of the people in the room didn't even understand where my question was coming from.
Man, everyone makes a choice, but I always opt for the long road. I think
for sure
that an entertainer will get the most out of this business if they take the long road and they build a career that's built on respect and on hits. You know what I mean? But especially when you coming out the gate, you gotta have a backstory. Like like it's not like Larry David's first thing was Seinfeld.
Exactly.
All the shit that he did before that made it look like when he did hit that, it was like, yo, we fucking root for this guy. He's been working hard. He's been the shit. Now he's got a hit. But you come out the gate like a hit, folks think you an industry plan and all kind of shit. They're less likely to want to rock with you and like put their faith into you, which I think is what sustains an artist. Because after that like relationship with that major label or whatever is over, you still want to be able to tour and like have a fan base that is supportive, even if it's on a smaller level.
Yeah, and are people still gonna fuck with you when you're not bringing in millions of dollars? Yeah, you know what I mean? Because like they're with you with the hit because there's so much money. When you don't have a hit and you're searching for the next one or you're doing whatever, like, are they still rocking with you? You know, or were they just there for the hit? And that's why I tell that story, because you were saying like what are instances where I felt like the system was exploitative. The fact that no one else in the room even understood how B.O.B. was a failure. Yeah. It's like this whole, and again, I can't knock them because the way they're looking at it is they're right. That was a success. But I think 9 out of 10 artists get into this shit thinking long term. Yeah. They're expecting where they're going to be in 30, 40 years. The fact that everyone in the room that wasn't the mindset. You know, the mindset was like, nah, like he has some hits. He's good for life. Go on your way and we'll get the next one. You know what I mean? It was like the whole industry is not set up. The artist's views of things and the industry's views of things are two different.
Right.
What about those artists that are down with that? Like the kind of artists that hears that and is like, yo, I want to move.
But are they? Because I could be wrong. I really don't think artists think that way.
Yeah.
Even the ones who would hear the label do that, I think in the back of their head, they're like, yeah, whatever. We'll rock with them, let them do this, but we going to be around. You know, we'll do the hits or whatever, but then we going to flip it and we going to make this shit keep going. Right. Like, I really don't think artists think of it that way, you know?
Damn, man, I think as a good and I'm not a label person, right? But if I were, I would be thinking about what's best for the company and for the artist and their career simultaneously, because you want that relationship to last. And at the very least, you want that artist to walk away and tell the public and tell their peers that, yo, this company's cool. Right. This like guy's a good dude there, or this woman's great there, or this person's great there. And they fucking supported me and they had my back. And they didn't trick me about nothing. Like, one of the best things I heard an artist say, he was talking about Jay Prince and Rap-A-Lot. And I know Rap-A-Lot gets a lot of flack for their deals. Some of the deals are considered to be really unfair. And this OG dude told me, he was like, you know what? I can never say anything bad about working with them because they were upfront about what the deals were.
Because Jay Prince is going to come after it.
Sure.
Even right now, I'm like, I have never heard anything bad about Rap-A-Lot, Tony. I don't know what you're talking about. I think they're an outstanding company.
Nah, man, but even with all that, I thought that this dude, because this guy talking to me was like someone that I was close to. He could have easily been like, yo, fuck them, the label sucks, it's bullshit. He was like, no, the deal that I signed was a bad deal, but I went into it and he explained to me exactly what it was and I accepted it. And I feel like if every artist can say that, then at least they can say that they got the full picture. Yeah. You know, when I think that's not the case most of the time. I think most of the time, folks are being told a part of the story and not getting the full picture.
Completely. And do you know who I think, speaking of that, do you know who I think right now is in one of those situations where it's very clear that the label just wants one thing from them and they're smart enough to see it, be aware of it, and they say, okay, well, I'm going to run with this, but do my best to flip it? Is fucking Lil Nas X.
Oh, tell me about that.
Oh, yeah.
I really, dog, because I'm not really into, it's a dope song, right? It comes on, I'm gonna sing along with it. You know what I mean? But I'm not really into that type of shit. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna listen to Lil Nas X on my own whipping. You know what I mean? But man, like, I have been so impressed with how this kid's handling it. Like, first off, I listened to a bunch of his other music. I don't think this kid wanted to be the like country rapper cowboy dude. You know, like you listen to his other shit, it's just rap shit.
Yeah.
You know, that's very much like the label kind of like the label choosing what went, you know, and he could either get with it or not. Yeah. You know? And I feel like a lot of rappers in that position would come out and be like, that's not me, like that shit's cool. But Asher Roth, Asher Roth's a friend of yours, right? Yeah. I'm a big Asher Roth fan. Like, I fucked with the Greenhouse Effect and all that shit, right? When I Love College dropped, he was very vocal, like, yo, that shit's not me. Yeah. You know? That's the worst song I've ever put out. Yeah. You know? And obviously the label's not gonna like that. You know? It didn't seem like he got a lot of label support after that. Yeah. You know?
He was like, fuck that.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Which I feel him, you know? I feel him if the label's like pushing this identity that you don't really want, you know? That's hard. Where I feel like with Lil Nas, he realizes what it is. Either they told him or he's just smart enough to pick up on it. He's like, cool, I'm gonna just run with this shit as long as I can, but try to flip it. we saw the other day he was posting snippets of new songs on Twitter.
Yeah, saw that.
You know, and he's like, I might make a rock song. What do you guys
like
think
Travis
about?
Barker. Shit.
Yeah. And I'm like, yo, this kid is like fully aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
But he's just doing his best to keep flipping it and make something of it. You know? And like, I fuck with that. And maybe it was. Maybe like they came up to him and were like, look, it's a singles deal or whatever. You know, we just really want this song. It is what it is. Because we had, with another artist, we had offers where it was like the label was like, you're cool, but we just want this song. You know?
What is that conversation like versus like, hey, we want to sign you to make an album? Do you feel, are you less stoked to take a single deal than like take an album? Or do you think it's more advantageous for the artist to take that single deal versus the album deal?
I mean, I think it's artist to artist. Like, you know, I can't really answer that, you know, because it's not my, as deep as, and as involved I am with artists in their career, it's not my face on it. You know what I mean? Like, that's not like how I'm going to be known for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to be the country rap dude for forever. You know what I mean? I'm not going to have to sing that song for forever. So I'm like, I feel like a little better view because I'm a little removed from it, you know? So I think it just really depends, like artist to artist. If it's a single that you don't really fuck with like that, I totally get why the artist is like, nah, I'm not trying to do a singles deal. I'm not trying, even if you could make that shit blow up, I don't want to be known as that forever, you know? But in this industry, you know, it seems like there are people with the power to make records go, just singles, you know?
Yeah.
So it becomes, you know, well, can I make, like a Lil Nas? I feel like Lil Nas sat down and was like, all right, they can make this shit go. Because I also found out he was signed before that song blew up. It wasn't like a viral thing like we thought, right? So I think he sat down and he's like, cool, well, they can make this shit go. I could just run with it and keep trying to flip it, or I could say no and keep working my day job or whatever, you know? And so he's like, fuck it, let's try, let's risk it.
Yeah.
You know, so I really think it's situational and it's up to the artist.
Man, earlier, before we even got on the mics and shit, you were talking about managers and about how you've discovered why artists have several managers and how these managers play like different roles. How do you get that? How does, man, number one question that I have folks asking me is, how do you find a manager?
How do you find a manager?
As like someone that works with like mad artists, how do you think an artist can find the right manager for them?
Shit, I've been asking myself that same question. Literally the other day we were like, fuck, should we bring on a manager now? You know, cause I've had managers, I've had managers, I've had all sorts of people in my corner.
Yeah.
And ultimately no one ever made more money for me than me. And people were taking a cut of my money. So it was like, okay, well then why are you here? You know? So we don't have a manager right now, you know? And it's a question do we need someone to take it over the edge or whatever? I think definitely people are thirsty for a manager to say they have a manager. Cause I know I was.
Word.
So I think most people, if you're asking that question, the first thing is like, do you really need a manager right now?
Word. I totally agree.
That's the first thing, cause for sure when I was younger, it was like, I'm lit, I got a manager, like, oh yeah, call my manager, and it's like, bro, we weren't doing shit. You know what I mean? Like, so it's, do you really need a manager? And it's like, for me, either there's two reasons to get a manager in my mind. You have so much shit going on that you can't organize it, control it, make sense of it, talk to, and you need someone to navigate all that because you don't know what you're doing. Great, get a manager. Number two, if someone is gonna make you money, you know what I mean? If someone fucks with you and they come to you and they're like, yo, I can make you money, and then it's like, cool, prove it to me, you know? And then they start getting you syncs or placements or whatever. It's like, okay, word, this fool, and at that point, I'm this dude's hustle.
Yeah.
Right? Because this dude has the resources to make money getting placements, but he doesn't make beats.
Yeah.
So I'm his hustle. He's gonna hustle my beats and take a cut of it. But cool, if I know that and I'm cool with that, let's rock, you know? But I just see a lot of people feeling like a manager is a necessary, important piece of the puzzle. It's not. If anything, it's an excuse for you to stay uninformed throughout your whole process, right? Because they're gonna upload the TuneCore for you. They're gonna navigate the splits for you. They're gonna do a bunch of regular shit that you could do on your own that you should probably figure out on your own.
Always.
So it's like, yeah, I don't think it's a necessary step. I think, like we were talking before, like to me, one of the biggest needs is like the organizational manager.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's like if you sign a deal or you have a record go and you don't know what the fuck's going on and this business is crazy and they make the contracts in words that aren't for us, you know what I mean, that we don't understand, get a manager. You know what I mean? Who could help you navigate that shit, Other than that, like, I don't really, unless someone's going to make you money, you don't need it until you're cracking.
I totally agree that you need to learn as much as you can before you get a manager.
For sure.
Like when I started making music, I tried to learn to be an engineer to the best of my abilities. Yep. I started trying to make beats. I book my own shows. I would fly places to take meetings. I'd try to build up as much as I can so that if a day came when I needed a manager, I could at least be like, yo, I want you to do this. See the shit that I do? I need you to do this for
exactly.
me. I don't have time to do it.
Exactly. And that's what we've been talking about is like I said, I fired all my, I just never had any, and I've had managers who I fucked with, totally. And I've even had managers who we left because of situation stuff. It wasn't even bad blood, it was like they got an offer over here or whatever,
They got a different job.
Yeah, and it's like, for sure, go do that.
For sure.
But still, the fact of the matter is I've never had a manager bring in more clients for me, or connect me with doper people than I was connecting myself to. Never had a manager make me more money than I was making before. You know what I mean? Even the managers I liked. So it's like there was no need for one. Now it's to the point where it's like, okay, can the level of output we have, the things we're involved in, the shit we're doing on our own, could we partner with someone who could take that to the next level, who could make us more money, basically, you know? And that's a conversation we've been having. Like, cool, we have all these beats, we have a lot of connections here or there, we work with a lot of artists, we're getting shit off, we're sending it to whoever. Is there a middleman, though, who maybe has better connections than us that could make us more money? Now
you were saying that's like the organizational manager. Earlier we were talking about other kinds, like the day-to-day manager.
Well, see, I feel like that's that's
the tour manager.
I feel like that's the homie manager more so, or the tapped in manager more so. That's what I feel like what we've been talking about, because we're old. You know what I mean? We're grown. We're all almost 30. You're 31, right? We're almost 30. We've been doing this shit a long time. We have friends who are cracking just off the strength of bro, we've been doing this shit a long time. So we know people, and they weren't shit 7 years ago and now they're having their and it's not even oh, we know so and so. It's like, what? That's a fucking homie, cause just off the strength of doing it for so long. So yeah, for me it's more so like how you were talking about. French is someone who's feature heavy, so he needs someone who's just tapped in with everyone, Prince
Montana need that for sure.
Yeah, and
I ain't never heard of Prince Montana single that was solo.
Right? Nah,
that's true.
It's facts.
And there's no shade, because Prince is dope.
No, and he kills it. And there's I think, maybe to a lesser degree, maybe not. I think French is a lot like Kanye, where the beauty in it is how they're able to seamlessly bring all these different parts together and make hits.
Yeah, it's the same way. A lot of the top people do that, whether it's in their features or in the background on the production, on writing side. Drake, Kanye, French Montana, these niggas have teams that are solid and have mad type people that add value to their whole shit. And
their job is to just delegate and coordinate, and seamlessly make it all work. And that people think that's not a skill. That's what a
fucking skill.
That was what a producer was.
It's a whole lot,
right? Quincy Jones was a musician, but that fool wasn't playing guitar on Thriller. Or maybe he was, to be honest. I don't know. He's a freaking nature. But Quincy Jones was an old school producer. He brought in all the instrumentalists, had them all do their thing and say, oh, wait, do that. No, do that. Okay, change that. He coordinated everything.
Bring in a dope-ass writer, another writer, a vocal coach.
He oversaw everything. That was the job of a producer, you know? And I always say, nowadays, we don't have a lot of producers. We have a lot of beat makers, and that's no shade to
that don't cut it though, man. You gotta have that producer skill in the mix if you want to make type music that's gonna go somewhere.
But I think nowadays a lot of artists are the producer, right? Like I think a lot of artists bring in a bunch of beat makers and they're actually the producer.
Yeah.
And they're the one tying it together, saying, nah, chop that beat, switch this, move that,
Like Travis Scott.
Like Travis Scott. I would assume that either Kendrick does that or someone within TDE. I was going to say sometimes it's the manager. If you have like the creative manager who's in the studio, sometimes it's, you were just telling me that Young Thug, like that's Thug's whole thing.
Yeah.
Is Thug just has someone record him. He does like a million ideas and then he actually goes in and comps it and arranges it and moves it, But like, I definitely think someone needs to have that skill on the team, But it's crazy. I don't even remember what we were talking about, low key.
Man,
we just been bullshit. Yeah.
This is a great conversation when it just goes everywhere, what I mean?
Yeah.
And that bitch flow.
And that's how we've been wanting to do it. And it's funny because every week I write down a bunch of topics to talk to and I'm like, fuck, we didn't talk about any of these goddamn topics. But I'm not gonna lie though, that B.O.B. story, that's the first thing.
That is mad funny though.
Bro,
man.
that's
mad funny.
That's the first thing I've said on air where I'm like, oh shit.
It's whatever.
I'm gonna get some angry text messages.
Fuck that. You in here to be honest.
Yeah.
Look, this is your radio show.
Yeah, shit.
This is your radio show with your people and your audience. You in here to speak your truth no matter what the fuck happens.
Come on, Tony.
And it's not said with no disrespect. You know what I mean? It's a fucking fact. Whether the fact is you didn't agree with them or you fell on your face or you won, you got to speak that truth on the show.
Nah, that's facts. I appreciate you, Tony. I appreciate you. And that's definitely something I feel like I said, for a long time within the industry, it was always like, okay, everyone else knows more than me. So I'm gonna, sit back. I'm gonna let them do things. It's definitely now to a point where it's like, I keep seeing people who supposedly know more than me make different calls than I would make, and shit ain't working out.
Yeah.
So it's like
just guessing.
It's like, so I'm gonna say what I say. If y'all don't fuck with it, cool. Like no disrespect, no shade, do you? But I'm out. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to continue to like move on paths that I don't think are dope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And maybe you were right and your shit works out. Like blessings to you. You know what I mean? But I've really had to like not be I guess it's a desperate, back to the desperation topic, right? I was desperate for success that I was willing to like run with other people's ideas even if I didn't think they were good.
Yeah. And it's so easy to get caught in that at any point in your career because being an artist, it's constantly up and down. There's like points where you making some good money or some okay money or maybe no money or getting a lot of attention to medium attention to little attention to no attention. So at all those stages, it takes a lot of guts to be like, yo, I'm going to stay true to my vision and who I am and what I want out of this life. Because there's constantly folks pulling you being like, yo, I can help you get this or help you get that. Like constantly, man, my fucking inbox, niggas constantly selling me a dream. I swear to God. I swear to God. People are constantly like, yo, I dig what you're doing, but if you do this with me, it'll go better in this way for you. From like everything, from like making music to like another company being like, yo, let me run your merch. Or
everything. And so how do you suss those people out, right? Like for artists out there who they're making dope shit and people are, like you said, the guy from Chicago.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy, by the way.
Yeah.
For you, I got you.
And like he ain't the only one.
I got you.
A bunch of homies that I met in like music were like, yo, I started putting out my shit with like him too. Cause this is back in like the 2000s during the MySpace time when getting on iTunes was the shit.
Yeah, you were lit.
Was the shit.
You were lit, bro. It was like, you're on iTunes?
Wow.
Oh, what the? Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
I felt that, yeah.
But man, I think the best way to do it, like you said, we're all old, we're all older, we've been doing this for like a while, and I think when you do it more, your internal confidence just gets tighter, and you can kind of like sniff out what not is just what's not just the bullshit, but just what's not for you, what doesn't work for your art or your work or you as a person. And I think you really got to listen to your gut. You know what I mean? Like when when you've been at it for like so long and you've seen the ups and downs and like seen the success and like failures, you kind of know when you encounter something that's a good fit and what's not a good fit.
Yeah.
And you got to really trust yourself. Sometimes your first thought might be your best move.
It's crazy because I saw J. Cole post this quote. This was a while ago, and he said it was something like, this quote brought me great peace, so I'll share it with you all. Some wise, insightful
Some
shit.
like J. Cole shit.
Yeah, some J. Cole shit. Some J. Cole shit. But it was like I know that what is for me will never miss me, and I know what is not for me will never hit me. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw that, I was kind of like, yo, get this shit the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
You know, like I was kind of like, I fuck with you, J. Cole, but you need to like go get a haircut and like come back to humanity, you out in the woods and shit. Like, fuck you talking about? You know, like back to what you said, how it's not just sniffing out when someone's trying to fuck you, but when something's not for you.
Yeah.
You know, that quote has actually, I've been like playing it over and over and over the last couple months, because it could drive you crazy worrying about this drug or this capitalizing on this opportunity or running through this store or whatever. And it's like, bro, like some things aren't going to be for me, you know? And like, that's not a quote to sit at home on your ass and not do anything, you know, but it's just to like have peace. At least for me, it's brought me peace, and like, nah, like some of this shit isn't going to be for me. And if I'm not supposed to be a producer and I'm getting blackballed because of this show and I'm never gonna get any cuts, bro, that shit wasn't for me. You know, because I'm not one to withhold information. I'm not one to hold my tongue. You know, so
That's
it's
your
like
gift too.
Yeah, so it's like if that shit wasn't for me, it wasn't for me, and like I have to have peace with that and know that what is for me when I'm just myself will come to me.
Personally, I like to kick it with people and just like chop it up and just like get to know them, you know what I mean? Like get to know them past like just us talking shop. You know what I mean? Like can we connect on like a deeper level where like, not to sound corny and like metaphysical, but our like spirits are kind of aligned. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
for sure.
When you have people like that on your team, you're bound to make something that's good, because like y'all are pushing at it from like the same sphere.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, completely. And I think, again, it's not even a diss at the major label, but sometimes you get these artists who all they've ever known. We got to remember, right? We grow old and just keep learning and learning and learning to try to get back to our childlike selves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's when we didn't give a fuck about no one. We was just doing you know, and not to say that there's not good things about getting older, but really like we all are just trying to be as free and ourselves as we were when we were kids, you know?
Get more distracted the older we get.
Exactly. And so you have I see these artists that like all they know is just innocent, pure music with their homies doing what they want. Then they step into a label situation. It's a bunch of people who don't know them, who aren't on their same page, who are, you know, 3 decades older than them, different nationalities, different beliefs, whatever. And all of a sudden you're getting pulled in all these different directions. That's not anyone's fault. It's just the nature of the game. You know what I mean? Like you said, you need all these people pushing in the same direction. You know, you can't have 3 different people running in different directions and just kind of like, oh, I'm going to bounce between. It doesn't work, you know?
Man, I heard some great quotes from this woman, Susan Rogers. She was the engineer for Prince for most of the 80s, right? From like Purple Rain time up until like 1990, right? And like she had 2 things that really, really stick with me. She was recording Prince, and he was working really fast mixing something, and like the mix kind of had like a lo-fi quality to it. And then and she was like, yo, if we spend some more time on this, I can make it sound more like a high quality mix. And then Prince was like, yo, we don't do that in like our camp. Like our shit sounds dirty on like purpose. Like we're not Michael Jackson. Like the way that we sound is our sound. And when people want that sound and that vibe, you come fuck with us and our artists, right?
Yeah.
And I think that every artist should really think about that. Like you should have a certain sound, a certain brand, a certain world that is yours, that you own. And when the audience wants that vibe, they come to you. When like you want that like J. Cole type of quote, type of vibe, and like the dream life and shit, you like go to Dreamville.
Yeah.
You feel me?
No, exactly.
And like you want the club shit, you go to French Montana.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I think a lot of us get too caught up trying to make it and try to put on clothes that don't fit.
Completely.
And it just fucks us up.
Yep. No, that's the best way to put it. Clothes that don't fit.
Another thing that she said was, she was like, man, like, try to think back to when you were 5 years old and you would daydream. And if you get a chance from working your job, or like, you know, when your rent's paid or your mortgage is paid and like the family's fed and you can just have some time alone and just chill, close your eyes and try to daydream and envision that fantasy of yourself that you always wanted to be. She's like, that's who you really are. And if you can get people to pay you for the ideas that come from that version of yourself, then you've made it.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's fire.
Bars.
Damn, we've been talking about too much insightful shit.
I know, right?
We've been having too much free game. We need some more ignorant shit.
Man, I'm fresh out of ignorant shit. I swear to God.
Nah, it's crazy because last week we had the homie Starboy up here. Shout out to Starboy. Hey. And it was like saying just like a good ass conversation. And when we left, I was kind of tripping. I was like, bro, is it just me or was that our worst podcast? He's like, nah, bro, it was just the least ignorant one.
The most on point conversation.
Nah, and honestly, I love the whole vibe of your show because
I appreciate
there's nowhere where people can go and get game like that. There's nowhere. DJ Booth, I think, is a website that does a good job at it. They put out articles where like an artist can really learn something about making music or like mark themselves or like the game. But a lot of people don't have the kind of mentorship that some of us had.
Completely.
And they're just lost and have no one to ask questions to or learn anything from. They just see folks making it and then just try to take a wild guess. And you know, I think it's too easy to get caught up in so much trial and error. Like you got to have your like wits about you.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Right.
Not completely. And you know, I think like Ebro, Joe Budden, all those shows, they have like bits and pieces of it, you know, where there's like some game thrown and then it's back to like some foolishness, you know? So that was really, we were just like, yo, how do we, let's do the Joe Budden thing. Let's do the Ebro in the morning thing, you know, where it is just this commentary on culture, but where some of those, and no disrespect to any of them, but where some of those maybe get like gossipy or tabloidy.
Yes.
How could we like,
right?
How could we do something that we feel good about? You know what I mean? That we feel like we have like a North Star goal of like putting good into the world, you know? And I think even not to like keep tying it back, but I think that's a super important thing too, is like, as an artist, do you have a North Star goal of like where you want to be, where you're going, what you want to like, when people think of you and your legacy, what do they think about, you know?
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're just kind of blowing in the wind.
That's the number one question that everybody asked me when I first started taking meetings with anybody ever. They were like, where do you want to be? What is your goal? Like how do you see yourself as an artist? If you can't answer that, you need to spend time thinking about it. Like your only goal can't be just to make it. That's a really empty, vague goal.
Yeah.
Because making is different for every person.
For everyone. Well, even I have people all the time talk about like successful or something, like being successful. And it's like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like, I know the guy with the $100,000 and he thinks he's unsuccessful.
Yeah.
Because there's the dude next to him with the $1 million. But then I look at the dude with the $1 million and he's got 5 different baby mamas who all hate him and is backed up on his home loan, and that's not success to me either. You know, so it's like, really, what is success to you? What do you want? Where are you headed? But now it's crazy.
I would tell you this: my idea of success is having a long career, being able to try all these different things in my career, making music, doing TV, doing films, and being able to raise a family. You know what I mean? Like I really want to have a family. I want to have a kid or two. I want to really do like the whole human thing.
Yeah, that's fire.
And I want to own a home, and I want to live somewhere that is affordable and is sensible and kind of outside the bubble of where the industry is.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like I want to be like fucking Dave Chappelle or something, live in the Midwest or some shit.
Does Chappelle live in the Midwest?
He lives in like fucking Ohio or something.
And it's in a random ass neighborhood.
And it's like, man, a place like that, you get more bang for your buck. You like put your family around an environment where they live a more, I don't know, quote unquote normal life.
Yeah.
And you get to clock in and come to these cities and work your ass off, and you get to clock out and go home and just chill
and be human,
and just think and just be a person.
Be human. Nah, and that's the thing is like, I always talk about it with Hollywood, right? Like if I stay in Hollywood too long, I go crazy, right? Because to me, Hollywood is just synonymous with the industry. Like when I'm in Hollywood, I feel like I'm on the clock.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I'm in this bubble. And if I'm up in Hollywood 3-4 days, I start to go crazy, you know, because I need to like, I live in the cut, you know, and no one in my neighborhood speaks English. No one in my neighborhood knows who Drake is. You know what I mean? It's like, and I love it because I could leave and just be a human.
Yeah.
Walk to the store in like some nasty ass sweats with my hair all messy and not care, you know?
Yeah.
So that's fire. I didn't know Chappelle was on that time.
And that's my dream. Another man's dream might be living in London or in New York or Los Angeles or in Hollywood or whatever, you know. But I think that you should try to define that dream for yourself and like go after it the whole way.
And what you said, like knowing what success is for you, a little bit of free game that I just heard actually from the Joe Budden podcast, which I thought it was one of those things where I was like, oh shit, that's genius, you know? So shout out to them. I'm not trying to take credit for this. You know, I'm just spreading the game. One of the guys who used to work at a record label said, yo, when you first signed to the record label, ask them to set up a photo shoot for you and let them handle everything. Let them handle creative, the space, the whatever, because you want to see what they think of you. You want to see what type of artist they think you are. You want to see what colors they associate with you, what looks they associate with you, what type of photograph. Is it a studio? Is it outside? You want to see what they actually think of you so you can see what the label thinks of you and what you think of you. And are they the same? Are they way different? Do you need to get people on the same page? Do you have to compromise? And I was like, oh my God, that's fucking genius.
That's dope.
You know, because I have spent so much time feeling like the label thinks, and with multiple artists, where the label felt like the artist was different than the artist was, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, it was that easy. We just had to set up a photo shoot, let them handle it, and then really be like, okay, for sure, we're not on the same page here. Yeah. So shout out Joe Budden for that free game.
I think it's smart to like look at everything that the label makes for you. Like if they make a bio for you or a press kit for you, like even if they're picking from like stuff that you've made, your own photos and your own videos and like your own songs, which ones are they picking when they show you off? Yeah. Because that represents also like this is the kind of artist that we think that they are or can grow to be on an elevated level.
Yeah, well, and that's why for me it was like based on the single they were picking. I was like, wait a second, like what? Like this is the introductory single. This is how we're gonna showcase us to the. This is not what you know, like so. It's crazy.
You got to come out swinging too, man. I think that there's something to be said about making your first move your best move. Like a lot of the time, people will just recognize you for your first hit or your first album or your first video. Like make it something that you can stand on.
Yeah, no, it's real. What do you think about, because this is something we've been talking about a lot, what do you think about frequency in this era, right? Because it seems like era, people are dropping 2 albums a year. And that's super normal. You know what I mean? Whereas like I come from the school of like you drop an album every 2 years, once every 3 years. You know what I mean? Like seems like people now it's like you have to be on people's neck or they forget about you.
Personally, I think that you can be on people's neck and in people's minds in other ways. I think you can stay on folks' minds as simple as like dropping songs, dropping videos, or even posting on your Instagram. Right. As a listener, I prefer 1 album a year. Like one of my favorite artists, Trippie Redd, I get caught up with him because like last year he put out like fucking 3 albums or something. And then one of them I just missed. No, 2 of them I missed because it was just like
too much.
It's just too much for like me. I'm a grown ass man. I got shit to do. You know, and I'm a music fool. I play music all the time, and I simply just don't have enough time to digest your whole product properly if you give me too much. So I like an album a year as like your main statement. But as far as songs and like videos and like smaller stuff, put out as much as you want and I'll pick and choose. You know, a lot of my favorite artists have buku shit. Prince, Chief Keef, they just put out mad product and I pick and choose what I love of it. There's like some records that they've done that I'm like, yo, I'm not a big fan of this. But there's other parts there's other records that they've done where I'm like, yo, this is my album, my favorite album of the year. And that's enough for me.
Yeah, and I think that's like the industry now, right? Is like people ain't even picking singles no more. It's like, let's put it up and see what reacts and then we'll run with it. It's like artists like, cool, I'm gonna throw out a bunch of shit and then let you pick and choose. Like, and this song maybe for this person, this other song maybe for the other person. I ask that because I'm on the side of like, whether it's right or wrong, I don't really have an opinion. It's like frequency is the key in this area, period. You know what I mean? Like you have to be.
You can't go away.
You can't go away. And it's interesting whether it be a TV show or your Instagram. There are a lot of ways to do it that maybe we haven't discussed that aren't just music, but you definitely got to be on people's heads.
I think it depends on the artist too. Like, you know, someone that's like a multi-hyphenate artist that's really great is Donald Glover. He has his fucking TV show, album, or he does a tour, like drops a video. He like makes a statement with like everything, and it feels like he's like spreading it out. But if you look at it, it's like just a few months apart. Yeah. You know, and it's and it all creates a different conversation, which I think makes it not overwhelming. Because it's different for me to talk to you about someone's music video versus their TV show versus their movie versus their album. If you hit me with like the same shit, I'm like, oh, I can't.
It's like
nigga got another movie out. God damn.
No, it's real. It's crazy, man. I just feel like life moves so fast nowadays. Yeah. Like even on the way over here, I was like, Alex has gotten me drunk like a couple times this week. What? Like I'm a grandpa, right? Like I don't really drink like that.
This fool's got himself drunk a couple times this week.
I don't really drink like that. I don't really go out like that. And I was literally driving over here because I was hungover all day yesterday, right? Like was like at lunch with my parents, like having to throw up in the restaurant bathroom and shit, you know. And I don't
do that.
And I don't even drink like that. Like I don't really.
I mean, that is why you were so fucked up, because you don't drink.
Yeah, I don't drink like that anymore. I'm old, and it was crazy. So driving over here, I was like, damn, I finally feel like a human again. 2 days later, I was like, fucking Alex, man, got me so lit the other night. And then I was thinking about it. I was like, damn, the last time I got really drunk, it was this fool's fault too. Like, and I was like, how long ago was that? And I'm like, bro, that was like 6 days ago. Like, but it felt so long ago, right? Like both of the times this fool got me drunk were since the last podcast. So they were within this week, and they feel so long ago. It was crazy. Like, am I the only one? Is like life just moving?
Why did you get him so fucked up?
I didn't get him fucked up at all. I looked at the clock. I was like, it's 11:30. I'm going home. And he's the one that's like, let's go. We never get fucked up. So I just had to clear that one up.
But that was the first time.
The second time, it was a vibe. The second time was a vibe. Okay.
The first time, but in my defense, the first time I told him, I was like, bro, we're both old. Like, literally all we do is make beats and play Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Like, we're boring as shit.
Tony Hawk?
2.
Dope. We have three.
Oh, we have 3? Oh, three.
Dope.
That's all we do, right?
That's all there is to do.
My girl's like, why are you coming home at 2 a.m.? I'm like, sorry, Tony Hawk was cracking tonight. You know?
Just those 2-minute rounds that you play over and over again.
Bro, it's crazy. 2 minutes adds up.
It really does.
But it's crazy. So whatever, last weekend I was like, bro, we never go out. Like, we finished playing Tony Hawk at like midnight. I'm like, let's just go grab one drink, right? He's like, okay, bet.
Where'd you go?
The Ace Hotel.
Yep. That's your first mistake. That's your first mistake.
But we went to just go get one drink, and then I don't know what happened, but this fool had me faded. I like smoked. I don't smoke at all, right? I smoked, so I was just on a different planet. He took me to some crazy after hours spot, like in some high rise.
Y'all tripping. You went all the way in. I feel you. I have done that before, where like I don't drink a lot, but I had a night like that where like my boy is like, yo, let's go out. And man, I wake up the next day like, yo, I'm never kicking with this nigga ever again.
That's all. I was like, yo, how do I tell Ochoa he's kicked off the podcast? Because I can't be drinking like this.
Because it's hard.
I was going to tell you the same shit.
It's just another lesson, man. It's part of that self-control. For like me, I was like, yo, I thought that since I don't do this that often, I can hang with it because back in the day I used to do it frequently and I was good.
And I was good.
And I was Gucci. I was the man. I was like, nigga, I'm fucked up all the time.
Hangovers hit a little different now.
Yes, bro. It's not the same. I personally set a time limit. I'm like, yo, at this hour, it's when I go home, no matter how much fun or how boring it is.
What is it, 1 a.m., 2 a.m.?
No. I like to get out before midnight.
I need that. That's when it starts.
I like to get in at 10.
But that's when the debauchery starts.
Before midnight.
That's when the debauchery starts hitting is midnight.
I know that's when it starts hitting. I know. Trust me.
After midnight, it's fine.
I invented some of that debauchery. Come on, man. What?
Shit.
Nigga, what?
Yeah.
I've been a fool with it.
It was crazy.
Documented.
I should have.
Well documented.
I should have learned my lesson last weekend, but then this fool had me out on like a Wednesday night too. Fucking lit as shit.
Yo, I can't wait for the day that we have the same conversation and it's like 10, 20 years later, niggas like, yo, we like, it was my 50th birthday. And my boy was like, man, we never go out.
That's going to be a different type of night.
It's crazy too.
A way different type of night. 50-year-old debauchery?
What do you do? I
they
feel
doing
like
the same shit.
Yeah.
It's the same story.
Shit.
It's like, yo, my boy took me out.
Yeah.
But you at the old school bar with like folks your age, the youngest girl there's 40.
where is the old school bar? Cause I'm not gonna lie, I wound up at a club. This is a while ago. I wound up at a club and I looked around. I was like, everybody in this bitch is 50, 45, and they were all lit, having the time of their life. They were having birthdays. There was girls in their little private booth getting the sparklers on the champagne, and they were all 50. It was like, yo, this is crazy. Is this a thing?
Back when I was in my like early 20s, back in Houston, I used to love to go to the old school bars. Like there was this one bar on Monday night, was there like soul night? They played like Marvin Gaye and shit. Everybody in that bitch was 40 plus.
And you were just there trying to pick up a bag?
The drinks were cheap. The drinks were cheap as fuck and strong as fuck because them old heads be drinking.
Yeah, they need it like that.
Like if you old and you in the bar on Monday night,
you drink.
You drink.
You drink.
Veteran.
So like me being in my early 20s, I'm like, I'm trying to get fucked up too. This is where me and my friends gonna hang out at. Once I pulled up on it and it was a fucking swingers party, bro.
Oh shit.
That's the 50-year-old debauchery.
Me and 3 homies, we got to the Monday night and we got there a little early. Normally we like show up at like 10. We came at like 8:30.
Oh, you were ready for
early,
those
right?
drinks.
We had came from like happy hour or something. So you're like, fuck it, let's just keep it going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We like get there and I see this older couple like kind of dancing freaky, and like the woman's wearing a long ass t-shirt down to her like kneecaps, and she pulling it up, dancing on her dude. And then I see this other girl come over to them and he starts kissing on her, and I'm like, yo, there's some freaky shit going on. Then I see this other couple just like making out, and I'm like, yo, these old folks getting kind of freaky in
That's
here.
That's that grown shit.
Yeah. Then I see the security guard come over to that threesome couple, and it's like, yo, chill out, y'all doing too much in here. Y'all doing too much. So I go to ask the guard, I'm like, yo, what is going on? He's like, this like crew rents out this bar once a month for 2 hours before our normal night starts. They're a swingers crew. And they were all these old bikers, these like black motorcycle bikers who were into some swinging shit. Shit was weird, bruh.
Did you go back to the crib with them?
Nigga, no! What, bro?
What? You wasn't trying to see what was up with the swingers party?
I'm like,
even better.
Hang out with no what, nigga?
Even better. When I was 20, that was my main objective.
Nigga,
was 40 a freaky. What does Keyel say? A freaky 45.
Never. What?
Just post it up in the bag with your drink, like, oh fuck,
what?
This shit's active.
Literally, the first
watching
the first podcast, we had like an hour-long conversation about the sugar baby situation, because me and this fool fool getting me drunk on a weeknight. We went out, and this fool for like an hour was like debating if he should talk to this like crazy old lady or not.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Yeah. Bringing back the couple. It was just one of those situations where it was very obvious that this was an older woman with money that I should talk to because she was staring at me. And
Who was looking for a young man?
Yeah, exactly.
She was perusing for a young man.
Were y'all at the Ace Hotel again?
No, we weren't. We were at a worse place, actually. We were at a place where you had to have like a black card, like a black membership
Like
card
a
to
members
even get
only.
in. It was like
Okay.
a country club.
Like a Soho House type shit.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was definitely like there was a place to get a
So
sugar
y'all
mama.
were at Soho House. and
No.
The sugar mama store though. But it was just a terrible conversation. Like I just wasn't about it. I just couldn't get past the conversation to even like flirt with her even, because the conversation just started with like, do you like Beyonce? And I was like, yeah, of course.
Oh, she trying to get hip with it. She asked your young ass, do you like Beyonce?
She asked me if I like Beyonce to tell me that she thinks my generation's music is shit and that she feels bad for my generation. So
Okay.
She was on one of those
boring.
like power play, like she was in her dominatrix bag. She just wanted to like to dom you,
to
know?
dom my dom my personality.
So her
Culture dom.
Culture dom.
So you're telling me that her mouthpiece was weak. So you didn't fuck with her.
Just dip. No, I couldn't do it.
But do you fuck with the 40 and up community?
Yes, definitely. 100%. I've been in other situations where I was for sure about it. This wasn't the one where I was about it.
But I think that was the highlight of the conversation, which we skipped over last time, was like, where is the threshold of bullshit you'll put up with for like the bag? Because mind you, this was not an attractive older woman. So it was a different intention, you know? Yeah, it was for the...
You were hoping to get some paper. You on your capitalist shit.
Yeah, I was hoping to make a connection.
He thought he was going to get some new Off-Whites or something, you know?
All right, what you'll do for the bag? Great question for every artist to ask themselves. Woo. Honestly, because the bag ain't worth it every time.
Exactly. And he found out that
I found out real quick.
He found out that when the personality matches the looks, not for the better, it's not worth it.
Now for me, the best bag comes when I get to do it by being myself. Like when I'm put in a position where you want me to be me to the best of my abilities, like use my taste or my talent or my likeness, that's when it's me getting the bag in like the right way and it's worth it. But if the bag requires me to step outside of myself in a way that's inauthentic, it's not worth it, because for me, like I said earlier, it just doesn't work. If you try to make me a certain type of artist, the song ain't gonna be slapping. I'm sorry. It's just not me.
That's the thing.
That
is
was a
like
great correlation.
It's not fun to know like what's the ideal bag situation. I want to know like what's the lowest you'll stoop for the bag. You know,
lowest that I played a concert in motherfucking Jackson, Mississippi for this beer brand, and it was so not a venue at all. It was one of them old folks bars right in the hood. I played the show. People booed me off stage.
No,
not a hard boo, but were just giving me the vibe like, all right, nigga, we've heard enough. And then the house
you're like,
DJ,
I got another song. They're like, another one.
Yes. And then the house DJ put on the music and just quietly escorted me off the stage. No. Now, granted, it's a Fat Tony show, so I'm singing Swerving, BKNY. I'm covering a fucking Ramones song. Like I like got delay pedals. I'm on my like fucking eccentric shit.
Yeah,
I did not fit into this mix whatsoever. And the other artists who got booked by the same beer company for it was like an old school R&B singer doing like covers. They loved his ass, and he went on first.
No, so you were the follow up.
Horrible. I was in a motherfucking town that was a food desert. Got in late. The only shit I could do was play the show. The fucking bar ain't have nothing that didn't have meat or fish in it, so I couldn't eat shit but some French fries, some bullshit. And then I like played for 15 minutes or something, or honestly less, probably 10 minutes, 7 minutes. And then I got off stage and went back to the hotel and took a nap and went to the fucking airport, and I got my check.
I was about to say, did you still get the bag?
Of course I got the bag. Of course I got the bag. I don't go anywhere without the bag being secured beforehand. Honestly.
Free game. That's big game right there.
Personally, I don't fly. I don't travel anywhere unless I have the whole money up front or at least half the money up front. That just goes. I'm just allergic to that shit.
Yeah, nah, that's
I
big.
can't do it.
I
can't do it.
Did you see? Speaking of that, did you see the what's the shit called? The Lil Festival?
No.
Rolling Loud?
Rolling Loud. Rolling Loud.
I was like, you didn't mean Rolling
I couldn't remember what it was called. Nah, did you see that, like, all these people, like, is Rolling Loud a setup? Did you see that shit? Like,
all those artists canceled, right?
all the artists were getting, like, arrested, like, upon entrance. Kodak
NBA got shot at.
a bunch of people got shot at, a bunch of people got arrested. Lil Wayne took his ass home because he wasn't about to get his shit searched and get arrested. Like, what's going on with Rolling Loud?
Are they the feds?
That's what, honestly,
Are they the feds?
that's what I'm like. What's going
I'm asking
on?
seriously.
And not.
I don't know.
I
don't know them niggas.
I did a little research. Apparently, Rolling Loud is started by like two wealthy white dudes.
Yeah.
You know?
I saw that.
So-
the fools all tatted up and shit in full bodysuits and shit.
So I don't know what's going on with Rolling Loud.
You know, maybe it's the venue fucking required them to have extra police presence. Who knows? Who knows? But you know, fuck that shit, man. Artists need to get back on the old school, you know, touring game and just go and play your own show. Fuck the little festival.
Exactly. And that's what I was thinking. I was like, because my brain's just crazy. So I was just thinking all kinds of crazy shit. And it was like, you think Lil Wayne, did he get half up front or get paid in full?
Probably,
that's what I
definitely got at least half up front.
And that's what I'm thinking, right? With Wayne, that's what I'm thinking for sure. Even the fact that Wayne had the sense to pull up to the venue and be like, nah, you're not searching me later. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm leaving.
right.
Like, that's because Wayne's an OG. You know, I'm sure if not Wayne himself, he had people in his crew that were experienced that made that call. You know, someone like Kodak Black, a newer artist, I don't think he really rolls. We've talked about the necessity of having OGs in your circle.
Yeah.
Period. You know, Kodak Black, I don't know him to roll with experienced professionals. You know what I mean? So no one was probably like, hey, this bag ain't worth it. You know, let's turn around and go home.
I'm about to go on tour. If I'm Wayne, I'm about to go on tour with fucking Blink-182.
Yeah.
And I'm Lil Wayne. Y'all know me well. Y'all not searching me.
Yeah.
What's in my cup is in my cup. You know what I mean?
Facts.
But
That's
don't
exactly
search
like
me.
what he
I'm
said.
fucking Lil Wayne. Actually, I think it's kind of rude to like search him. Honestly, it's like,
for sure.
Because Wayne at this point, he ain't coming in there to cause trouble.
No,
Right.
he's a seasoned vet.
Wayne,
you know, he's a seasoned vet. Which, going back to Rolling Loud potentially being the feds, they apparently booked Lil Wayne and Young Thug on the same stage back to back.
Oh, that's dangerous.
When it's
Yeah,
like
that's
well
crazy.
documented, the
don't
shit
fuck
going.
with
They like shot at Wayne's bus, right?
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, bro. Like that. And I've been up here saying that, like, I feel like I think the Shade Room, I think Adam 22, No Jumper, all those things, not even a diss to their platform, but they really need to be more conscious about what they post. Because I feel like they be perpetuating a lot of the bullshit that happens, right? It's cool to like be shooting people or get shot at or be wrapped up in police investigations because these people keep pushing that shit. Is Rolling Loud perpetuating that shit? It sure seems like it to me. If they booking Thug and Wayne on the same stage right after each other, that sounds like they want shit to crack off to make headlines.
Yeah. And that is exploitation at its finest.
Right?
Right.
And so then I'm like, okay, if they were willing for potentially someone to die, for an artist we love or someone in their crew to die on their watch at their festival to make headlines, I'm not so sure that they wouldn't sell out one of the artists to the police to
Yeah.
make headlines either.
Right.
Not
Like
cool.
to keep it a buck, like that's where my mind goes, you know?
Feel that. I mean, Lil B did get jumped at Rolling Loud Festival.
And like, how does that? Yeah, that was last year, right? 2 years ago.
Yeah,
2 years ago.
that was.
And shout out Lil B, came up on stage and said, "I forgive you."
Went on Twitter. and said,
Bro.
I forgive you, bro.
The
For
bro was like, yo, I can't play my show because they took my laptop. I'm like, wow. What?
Nah, but like for real,
crazy.
that shit didn't get enough light as it did. Like we love to cover the shooting, but we're not gonna cover the man who got jumped and came on stage and said, "Yo, I'm not about the violence. Like,
Yeah.
I forgive you. I love you all. Like, let's keep like, bro, that is the person we need to champion.
Yeah.
You know, like Lil B. Okay, go put Lil B records on the radio. We need to stop perpetuating all this nonsense.
I mean, beef, you know, especially in like hip hop, it's some shit that a lot of artists are going to experience on a small level or on a big level. Me personally, I think beef should only be engaged if it's gonna make some good music.
Completely.
You know what I mean?
Completely.
Like if you have beef with an artist,
Completely.
y'all should make songs about it that are tight.
Completely.
And try to keep it as much to that as possible.
Even the Pusha T Drake shit, like I was all here for all that shit,
Amazing.
you
Yeah.
know. And I think those
That was
are
dope.
And I think those are both veterans enough to where like maybe there was a little bit of fear, but they both knew what it was. They knew it was
Right.
to the music. They weren't gonna take it past that. You know what I mean? Like, and when it got to a level where it was gonna go past that, Drake threw in the towel. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, I'm mad respect for that. These younger artists, I think, one, they don't know any better, and two, all they see on the internet is people getting shot at, people getting jumped, people getting robbed, and they think that's just a part of it, you know?
It definitely shouldn't be, you know, that's not how I'm rolling. I don't get entertained by that kind of violence.
No, not at all. Not
It
at all.
ain't cute, it ain't funny. I don't share it. I don't give a fuck about any of that.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it. I don't want it to be happening.
Even man, like with World Star, right? Like I remember I had a roommate. He used to wake up every single day, log on to World Star, GT.
Yeah.
Shout out GT. He would wake up every morning, log on to World Star, and watch fight videos. And I'm
Nah,
like, bro,
I ain't
like,
doing that.
and I'm like, I get it that's what they're pushing on you, but at some point you got to make a conscious effort to not click on that bullshit.
Unfollow.
You know, like. The timeline be having crazy shit on it sometimes. There's videos of people getting shot, all kinds of shit, you know? And yeah, they push that on us, but we all have to take back the power of the click and not click on that bullshit, you know?
better like social media diet.
Yeah.
Because real talk, just like food, you can ingest some bad shit without even knowing, you know, following a bunch of Insta thoughts, following fucking like World Star shit. That shit really does affect you, like subliminally.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I just think, especially we have gatekeepers in everything, right? With music that allows the music they want to get through with, whatever, the politicians, like everything has some form of gatekeeper. I think the news outlets need to do a lot better job of what they let through, what they talk about, you know? Every day on Instagram, there's a new headline about some rapper who I've never heard of shooting someone or getting shot.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've never even heard of this guy. The only reason you're talking about him is because he's involved in some bullshit. Like, bro, stop it. You know? I don't know. I think that shit's some of the worst shit.
It's very corny. Just make music, man. Like, there's a beef going on right now with Mozzie and Filthy Rich, and they making some really entertaining music from it.
Really?
And it's really refreshing to see two artists, especially some like street artists who you would think would just be doing the shade room shit. They actually making music about it.
That's fire. I need to tap in. I haven't even heard that.
Yeah.
What's the issue or what?
It's about like basically it's about who they're aligned with. They have beef with these other people and see that these people have aligned themselves with these other artists.
Got
so
you. Yeah.
Now they're beefing. Kind of like 50 Cent, Eminem, Murder
Yeah.
Inc. It's like, oh, so you down with them, so I'm going to diss you too. You know what I mean?
But hey, as
But
long
the
as it
song
stays
is
on
slapping.
wax, you know, that's the most important part. But it's crazy, fucking with the Rolling Loud shit. Because I hope the festival isn't wrapped up in it, you know. But my whole thought is, if the festival's not wrapped up in it, that shit is banned.
The festival
Right.
should at least speak out against it.
Right.
I don't know if they have.
I think they gave a like very like dismissive statement where it was kind of just like, not us.
No,
It didn't seem.
Fuck all that.
Yeah.
You have to be riding for the artist that you booked for your festival, the artists that you're promoting, the artists that are making your festival. In like my mind, the artist is always number one. There wouldn't be none of this shit shit if it wasn't for the artist. No Dash Radio, no fucking label, no Interscope, no Rolling Loud, none of that.
it's
So
facts.
when your artists are in trouble or need that kind of vocal support, be there to fucking support them.
Yeah, so do you think Kodak Black still got paid for that show?
I bet every artist got at least half their guarantee up front to secure them getting there. Typically, the artist gets half up front and then half the day of the performance. Probably half before they go on stage or something, right?
But so then this is what got me thinking, right? Is Lil Wayne is getting a bag for that, right? All these, and no disrespect, but all these Lils, I'm not sure that they all making that much money off of it, because Lil Wayne could go play an arena on his own. Kodak Black's a different story, but I'm not sure most of the artists on that festival, that's the biggest stage they'll ever touch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They need Rolling Loud. I don't know necessarily if Rolling Loud needs them, you know?
I don't know, man. I think Rolling Loud, I don't think you can undervalue how much the artist is worth.
No, I agree.
You know what I mean?
I agree with you for sure. Like on a big picture, in terms of just Rolling Loud, I think Rolling Loud is, you know, they have the headliners and then they just have a bunch of like the mid-tier, new, you know, Lil whatever, and that's the festival, you know? So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those artists are not making money off Rolling Loud.
I wouldn't be surprised
because it's a look
if, like,
for
a lot
them.
of them are getting shitty guarantees and like
Exactly, because it's a look for them to be a part of Rolling Loud. Like, oh, I'm lit. I played Rolling Loud, you know? And we know the industry to be exploitative, you know?
I am sure that there's some artists out there that play Rolling Loud for $100.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Straight up, and like we're like a last minute booking and they're like, yo, this is it for our budget, but you're gonna be on the festival, you down to do it. I've done fucking shows like that.
Yeah.
Straight up.
No, and there's definitely like a threshold where at some point it's like, well, you're exposing yourself to a new audience. It is worth it, you know?
Yeah.
I guess for me, especially with all the other nonsense around Rolling Loud, I'm like, oh, like where was the threshold for them? You know, like were there big artists who should have been getting a guarantee that they were like, nah, this is it. You want to be on it or no? You know? Because again, I don't know those people, but from what I see, it doesn't seem that they care.
I don't know, man. I
artists.
think you gotta really pick and choose your battles, and you gotta understand how much you're gonna gain from anything. You know, like Rolling Loud, yes, it's a big look. Or not just Rolling Loud, but any like festival or any like show could be a big look, but how big will it be really? How much will it hurt you if you turn it down if it's just not right for you? Like Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
Lil Wayne, granted that he's big, he fucking still needs to perform and like show his fans that he's tight. All those fans that missed out on him at that show, him and his team had to calculate like yo, how much is it worth it for me not to play this show and I'm the headliner, when it would add value to my career to be like, yo, I headline this huge ass festival before I go on this big tour, and I'll probably sell some more tickets because all these folks just saw me here and want to come back because I killed it. They had to weigh the option of, you know, do we want to get searched and potentially get in some legal trouble? Well, if that happens, then I'm definitely not going on my big ass tour, which I'm gonna lose way more money if I than like what I lose from not playing this show and get another half of my check. So
and again, I think Wayne's someone who's been in those positions to where he could make that call himself.
Yeah,
if you're a new artist, especially when you're on the road, you need somebody in the crew who knows what the fuck's going on, who can make that call for you. You know, so and you know, it's crazy to me that a label or whoever would let a lot of those artists go out without someone like that. You know, without an experienced tour manager or an experienced just helping hand, you know?
You know what? I think that a lot of people's problem, from artists and their teams and to companies and labels, is they don't have enough people in place paying attention to the details.
Yeah.
You know, because that is everything. Like, you can sign an artist and give them all this money, but if they don't have the right people in place to kind of guide the ship and pay attention to the details and frame it right, you're not going to make your investment back.
No, completely. And I mean,
You know?
we see that just with money, right? Like, there's plenty of artists who made a shit ton of money where's it at? And then I just saw Chamillionaire someone who made money, but like there are artists who made more money than Chamillionaire that are broke now.
Chamillionaire.
I'm from the H.
But yeah, he's a fucking businessman.
You know what I mean? Like
Venture
he was
capitalist.
good with his money, whether that was like all him or he was smart enough to bring people in to help him flip his money, you know? And he's chilling, you know? And I think that's with everything. Like you need to have the sense to have people who are experts in whatever area you're embarking in. Yeah. You know? Because and ultimately that's ego, right? Because we don't want to admit that we're not an expert in it. You know? You have to.
I mean, the fucking brightest people are the people who admit that they don't know it all.
Exactly.
And put people in place to aid them and are always trying to learn something new.
Completely. Rap has always been a culture of puffing your chest though, right? You know, and like bigging yourself up and making yourself look flashy or what, you the flyest, you the whatever, you know? And while that's all like for show and for sport, I think sometimes you get caught up in that, you know? You get caught up in that ego. Right. The ego you step into for your show, you forget to take it off when the show's done. You know, and you end up making poor decisions.
I mean, I don't know. I think the person that's like the biggest flexer is the one that has the wherewithal to put the right people on their team.
True.
That's impressive to me. Like when I see someone like Drake putting on like a cold ass producer, a cold ass engineer, a cold ass writer, I'm like, that's a boss.
No, completely. Completely. And you know, Drake is someone who has probably made more money than everyone else in the industry. Yeah. You know, it's not like he's shorted money because he paid for the best of the best or brought in more people. You know what I mean? Like ultimately it helped his product to be the biggest.
It's worth it. That's that paying attention to the details that makes you win in the long run.
Exactly. It's worth it. Well, shit. Fucking, we could talk all day. Fat Tony in the building.
Hey.
Ocho is here. Ezra's here. Free game show. We kept calling it a podcast. They keep letting me know that Dash Radio does not host podcasts. Dash Radio hosts shows. So it's the free game show.
Yo, thanks for having me, man.
Of course. So before we get out of here, one thing we like to always do, as much as we love talking about the industry and the inner workings or just some bullshit, how Ochoa likes to get me fucked up on a Tuesday or wasn't down to get culture dominated by some old white lady.
Culture dominated.
Culture dom? You never got a culture dom?
No.
You not a culture sub?
Wow. Yo, that's a whole new thing.
Yo, that's crazy. A culture sub? So does that mean if like...
We're not tapping
into history. I mean, the Japanese were pretty dominant back in the day. So
that's a whole
am I like a culture dom?
Podcast.
Am I a culture dom because I'm Japanese?
So it's like, is that a culture vulture? You're like you're just a culture dom? That's like the PC version?
I don't even know.
Anyway, like I said, we like to still always bring it back and keep it about the music and really keep it about dope new music, you know, with Ebro, with Breakfast Club, with Joe Budden. They all get to shine light on dope New York artists, do dope shit cracking out their way. Yeah. While we're not saying you have to pick like a West Coast artist. We do like to just shine lights on artists that we fuck with. And being out here, we probably fuck with more West Coast artists than the average person, you know, but pick whoever. My artist isn't West Coast. But we just gonna get to some records. We'll each play a record we fuck with that we hope gets its due attention, you know? But I've been playing this nonstop since it came out. I don't know if you guys fuck with Ari Lennox. She's the newest, like, or not really newest, but she's the R&B singer over at Dreamville, the resident.
Dope. I haven't listened to her.
Resident songbird at Dreamville. Flame. I've been a fan for a minute. She kind of flew under the radar for a long time, but she just put the album out a couple weeks, and it's like literally all I've been playing. Like I haven't listened to anything that wasn't Ari Lennox. This is a New Apartment off Ari Lennox, Shea Butter Baby. It's a free game show.